Yogah Karmasu Kaushalam.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the refresher course in the life science, Gujarat University Ahmedabad. Let me introduce myself. I am Dr. Jignesh Trivedi. I am Assistant Professor of Zoology at Department of Life Sciences, Him Chandracharya North Gujarat University, Patan. Before I start my talk, I would like to thank UGC HRDC Gujarat University for providing me this wonderful opportunity to deliver a talk in the refresher course in the life sciences. I also thank the course coordinator of this refresher course, Dr. D.D. Jala, for giving me this opportunity. So it is very difficult because as I come to know this refresher course is for the life science, teachers who are working throughout the Gujarat and as well as outside the Gujarat, and it is very difficult to teach a teacher. So while delivering this talk, it is possible that there will be some mistakes in the data, or there is some things which are not clear to you. So in that particular case, please forgive me. Okay, and there is a email ID given on the screen, which is jntrivedi@ngo.ac.in. So if you have any queries, or if I have committed any mistake, while presenting this data, then you can mail me so I can make the correction for the future talk. So let's start my talk. So I will be talking about the taxonomical research in the era of the National Education Policy 2020. Okay, so we all know that from the year 2020, the National Education Policy has been implemented in the higher education as well as the school education, and then there is a drastic change in this new education policy. It is completely different from the old one. So our responsibilities are going to be increased. We have to be more and more responsible. There are several facets of this particular education policy where we have to work hard to fulfill the dream of this, or dream goal of this national education policy. Okay, so before we go into the detail, let's talk about the National Education Policy 2020 and the older one which was there in the effect before 2020, which was called as a National Policy on the Education 1986. Okay, then there was one more amendment in the 1992, and then there was one more, the last amendment, which was done in the 2009 about the Right to Education Act. But there is a drastic difference between the old education policy or 1986 policy and the national education policy which is implemented in 2020. The main objective of the last education policy was access and equity. Okay, because India was independent and then the literacy rate was very low, so that was the main objective. So we can provide access to as many as people possible, so they will come to the school and they will learn the things. And then there was also equity, because we all know that in India we have a caste system and there are huge differences between the thinking of the people belonging to different castes. So at that time the government want to make sure that the people who are coming from different classes of the population should get the education. So that was the main goal. And after that, in 2020 we have come up with a national education policy which is completely different from the 1986. Here the main objective is the quality education, because nowadays we all know that the literacy rate of different states of India has been increased, but the quality has not been improved. As when we compare our education system with the education system of different parts of the world, mainly Europe and the America, then we have the education policy and the which is very less effective. So no, to make it more effective and to increase the gross enrollment ratio, we have come up with this new education policy. We all are very familiar with this. We have attended several seminars and several workshops, because we are the one who is going to implement this education policy in the higher education, right? The school structure has also been changed. Before, in the 1986 the education policy, the structure was like 10 plus 2. At that time, the children who are going to the KG, senior KG and junior KG was not included in the plan. But here, for the formal education, right, starting from the age of the 5, when the student is going to the junior kg and senior kg, that is also included in this national education policy. So now the structure has been changed. It is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2. Okay. So it is completely changed in the school. And then in case of higher education, we all know that there are multiple entries and there are multiple exits. Okay, the bachelor degree is now converted to the 4 year. Okay, and then you have to do 1 year for the masters. Now that is all about the structure. We already know, the draft is already available on the internet. We have attended many workshops, and then according to the national education policy 2020, the curriculum in the bachelors as well as in the masters are going to be changed. But what is the main focus over here in the national education policy? That is quality education. Now, in terms of the higher education, what we have to do, that in this particular national education policy, more weightage is given to the research. Okay, so the national education policy wants the bachelor's and master student to take more and more interest in the research, and they are also telling the faculties who are teaching in the higher education to do more and more and quality research. So it has become our duty and our responsibility that we invest our maximum time in doing research, and then our teaching should be in a such a way that we can generate more and more interest in the research. So we have to change the way we teach. Okay, we have to change the way we conduct the practical. We have to add the research component in each and every practical we teach in college. Okay, now how to introduce the research component in the practical? We have to think creatively. For example, there is a very simple, what you call, the experiment which we do in biology, which is called as a seed germination experiment. When I was in ISER Pune for my induction course, I have seen that how the people or how the students of the FI BSc are doing this practical. Okay, they are doing it differently, right? In normal college, what we do, we saw the seed in the, what you call, the pod, and then we wait till it generates. Oh, sorry, it germinates. So we record the time, in how much time it germinated. But those people were doing that experiment very, very differently. Okay, the students who were working over there, each and every student was having a different set. How? One student was putting the seed on the top, and he was not burying the seed inside the sediment, and he was watching whether the seeds get germinated or not. The second student came up with the idea that I want to sow my seed, or I want to bury the seed at the depth of 5 centimeter, and then I will invert the pot, and I will see whether the seeds get germinated or not. Second student came up with the idea that okay, I have the seed, I will bury the seed at the 10 centimeter depth, and I will only provide once a day. Okay, fourth student come up with a unique idea that I will bury my seed and I will put the, what you call, pot in the dark place, there is no light, and I will see whether the germination happens or not. Okay, so there were around 40 to 60 students, and each and every student was having a different idea to conduct the practical. So that is called as a research component. From the FI BSc time, the students are trying new ideas, and they are actually converting a conventional, what you call, the practical into a research based practical. So that is what we have to do. And if we are conduct not all the practical, but if we can do a few practicals from our curriculum in such a way, so that this experiment will ignite the research interest in the student, and that is what we want in the national education policy. Okay, now over here you can see why I am forcing. Recently, I attended a talk that I was also doing a refresher course in the Rajkot, the Saurashtra University, and I had opportunity to attend the lecture by Dr. Dinesh Dasa. So I have taken few slides from his presentation. Over here you can see he has beautifully correlated the beautifully correlated the growth of the countries with the publications, right, which are coming from the country. So over here you can see the data in this particular table. We have the citable publication, right, ranging from 1996 to 2021 in millions. Over here you can see this is the 10, top 10 countries with maximum amount of the citable publications. So over here you can see the United States has 12.7 million citable public vertical publications. Okay, so this is their intellectual, property, and all these 10 countries are having 64.2 share of the entire world publication, and these are the top 10 countries. Over here we have our India. Okay, we have around 2.2 million publications, right, and we are having only 3.4% share. So over here you can see why United States is considered as the superpower in the world, or the leading economy in the world, followed by China, because these two countries have maximum amount of research which is, done in their country, and this research is valuable because it has been cited by many people throughout the world. So that is there. Okay, so this is why, the new educational policy or national education policy is giving more weightage to the research, because if we increase, these publications, or if we publish more scientific research, it will have more citation, and that is how our country will the develop. Okay, so over here, this is the second beautiful table compiled by Dr. Dinesh Dasa. That over here he has compared, the what you call the economy and the citation or the publications coming out from the country. So over here you can see the US has 23 trillion of economy, and they have 12.7, million publications. So over here you can see this, the entire world GDP 24% share is only coming from USA, and in case of publication 20% share is coming from US. So here you can see the research is directly correlated with the economy of the country. So what he wants to say, that if you increase your science, sorry, if you increase your research, and if you have more publication, if you do what you call the cutting edge research, and people are citing your research, it will have a direct impact on your economy. Okay, because when you do more research, you will come up with the new technologies and new research which is being used by what you call companies throughout the world. Right, even in India, for example, let's take a corona vaccine is the best example. Okay, right, the corona was there, and we invested a lot of what you call time and money in coming up with the corona vaccine, and finally we crack it, and now we have the corona vaccine, and we are selling worldwide. Okay, so that is what the new education policy wants to say, that if we increase our research capacity, we have the best minds in the world. We know that our people are working in NASA, even in the big companies and big research institution. Okay, so if we do the same, right, this is the responsibility of the people who are working in the higher education, right, it is the responsibility of the college teachers, it is the responsibility of the university teachers and scientists working in the research institutes of India. So if we increase the quality of our research, if we publish more paper, then it will have direct impact on our what you call the economy, and the dream of our prime minister to reach the 5 trillion what you call economy in the next coming 10 or 15 years. You can see right now we are having 3.2, right, trillion US dollar economy. We are very close to United Kingdom, but if we see the research, then we are slightly behind the UK, but we are there in the race. Okay, so we have to do this at least, right, after in the coming next 20-30 years, we have to reach over here in the third position in the world. Okay, then our what you call the competitors will be China and what you call USA. So if we understand our responsibility, and if we start doing research in such a way that at least in a year, if we can come up with 5 to 6 good publication, then this number will definitely change, and we will be there in the race. So this is the main what you call the aim of the education policy, that we want to change the what you call the teaching culture in the country. We want to introduce more research component, we want to make our student more creative, so we want to open their thinking, so they can think in a such a way that the innovations will be there, right, more and more people will be involved in the PhD, and they will come up with a good amount of publication. And for that we have different schemes launched by the Gujarat government as well as the central government. Right now we have SSIP, student startup scheme. Right, you can see if the student is having good idea, then the government is ready to support. Right, the student can work on the prototype, and if the prototype is successful, the government is also giving more and more funding to establish a factory. Okay, for the students who are doing PhD, we have the net fellowship, as well as the Gujarat government is also supporting the PhD student of the Gujarat by giving sure the fellowship. So the yes, the government is investing, and now it is our turn who are working in the universities and college to come up with the cutting edge research, right? To come up with good publications which will surely help our country to uh, to go with the to go for the good amount of research, and finally there will be a change in the economy also. So over here you can see, when we see the rank in the GDP and rank in the publication, again you can see the ranking. The United States of India of America is first, then China, Japan, Germany, and we are at the sixth position. In case of publications, we are at the seventh position. So we have to change it. We have to work hard, right, to change both the position. If this position, the publication position, will change, surely the economical condition will improve. Now over here you can see again the same thing. Global GDP share, we have 3.33 percent. In case of global publication share, we have 3.41. Now here this is the best example, right? People say that the India, right, our country was Sone ki chidiya. Yes, Sone ki chidiya in terms of what? Right, we were there in the economy. Our economy was the best in the world, but as well as our knowledge, the ancient knowledge was great. People used to come on that. Right now the students are going to US and Canada and Australia for further studies. At that particular time in the ancient India, right, the scholars throughout the world used to come to India to get the higher education. And this is the best example, the Nalanda, the ancient international university. These are the ruins of the Nalanda which were left after the attack. Okay, so Nalanda University was in the ancient center of higher education in Bihar, India, and it is the second oldest university after Takshashila in the world. So you can see the oldest universities of the world were located in India. We have Takshashila followed by the Nalanda. Okay, now people know that India is doing great in the economy, and India was also doing in case of studies, in case of research. And this was the problem for many people, and that is why Bakhtiyar Khilji in 1193 he attacked the Nalanda. So he was thinking that this is a fort which may have good amount of money in terms of gold and silver. So looking to the structure, he attacked this particular, what to call, the university, and the university was destroyed. And then one important thing about the Nalanda University, that it was having the greatest library in the world. Okay, there were so many documents over here you can see 9 million manuscripts were there in the particular Nalanda University. You can just imagine 9 million manuscript about the research in case of Ayurveda, in case of astrophysics, in case of mathematics, in case of Sanskrit. Lot of research which was done by the professors who were teaching at the Nalanda University, the scholars who were studying in the Nalanda University. Whatever research they have done, right, in terms of hard copy, it was stored in the Nalanda University library. And when Bakhtiyar Khilji attacked this university, his soldiers burned the entire library. And they said that there was so much paper, that so many documents were stored in this library, that this entire library burned for the 6 months. Okay, so you can imagine that how much knowledge we had. That if this attack was not done, you can imagine where we can, or where in this particular current time we will had that 9 million manuscript, and we can use that manuscript, right? And you can imagine our position in the current time. Okay, so if we combine the data of last 1000 year, okay, so you can see that right now the USA is having 10 million plus manuscript, and it is having the global share, 24% global share of the GDP. Now if we include, right, the ancient knowledge of India, the ancient manuscript written in India, then let's see what is our position. Okay, you can see 9 million plus manuscript, and if you have this much research in your hand, right, you can see India could be the superpower. Right, if we have this particular, if we recover somehow, if we have this manuscript, then we could have 28% of the global GDP. Okay, so you can say this research can make the country superpower, and that is what US has and we don't have. Okay, that is why, right, the old the education policy was scrapped and the new education policy is implemented with the aim of doing good amount of research. Okay, because only the research can make us superpower in the world, friends. So okay, second, interesting thing about India, this, right, they say that this is the golden period for India. Why? Because there is one term which is called as a demographic dividend. Okay, so according to United Nations Population Fund, right, what is actually the demographic dividend? The economic growth potential that can be result from shift in a population age structure, mainly when the share of the working age population is larger than the non-working age population. Okay, so basically what is demographic dividend? When you have more number of people who are working, right, and if you have less number of people who are not working. So right now if you have people who are, if you have more number of people, right, who are in the age of 15 to 64, and you have less number of people who are 65 and older, it means they are not working, and the children. Okay, if you have the people who ranging or falling in the range of 15 to 64, then you have high demographic dividend. It means there is a high chance that your country will grow. So over here you can see, right, the what you call the structure or the demographic dividend of different countries. Okay, so let me go to the next. So India right now, what is our situation? That India has one of the youngest population in the aging world. Like, what is the median age of right now of India? We have 28. It means this is the median age of the people who are living in India. So we have more amount of youth. Like, what is the median age of China? Is 37. What is the median age of USA? Right, is 45, and 49 in Japan. So these countries are getting older and we are getting younger. So this is the golden period, right? Since 2018, India's working age population has grown larger than the dependent population, right? So basically the number of children and the people who are, beyond the age of 65, they are very less, and more amount of people are falling in the age and their working age. Okay, so this is our period, right? And this particular the age group will be there till 2055. So friends, right now we are sitting in 2000 and right, it has started in 2018 and it will end in 2015. So by and large we have around 32 years. So this is the golden period. That is why what you call the longest goal of the national education policy has been kept in 2030. So 2000 till 2030 we have to fully implement the national education policy, and then next 25 years we have to we have to use this particular policy in a maximum level to, create or to generate more and more research. So friends, this is the what you call the golden period of India, and this particular period we have to work hard because we have more young people. So why the government is actually forcing us to do research? Because through research, through innovation, we can generate more and more amount of jobs, that we can come up with the new companies, and we can give jobs to our the young population which is right now, what you call living in India. So we can, use this youth maximally to what you call boost the growth of our country. So this is our time, friends, we have to understand. Okay, so here we have one beautiful what you call the slok from Sanskrit, which means that not horse, not elephant, not tiger, but only the lamb is sacrificed in the ritual. One must understand that not even God the protects the weak. So basically if we see the world history, right, in the older period of time military was the power. So those countries which are having a high amount of or the high number of soldiers, those countries which are having what you call the strongest armies, that they will rule the world. We have seen that the Sikandar was having the largest army and he was ruling half of the world. Okay, then the things have shifted in from the we have the industrialized after Second World War. There was a high no, what you call increase in the industrialization. So those countries which are having energy, for example right now the Middle East countries, the Dubai and Iran and other countries who are having what you call the oil. So oil, those people who are having oil, they were ruling the world. So in the mid part of this 20th century, those countries which are having huge amount of energy reserve were ruling the world. But now the time has changed. Now the energy, or now the new oil, right? The Mukesh Ambani said that data is the new oil. So those countries which are having what you call the digital data, or those countries which are having good amount of research or good amount of data, will rule the world. So this is the time where we have to work hard. Now the time has come that we generate good amount of data, we generate good amount of research, so that we can become the superpower in the next coming year. So this is the age of the data. So those who can generate good amount of data, those who can do good amount of research. Now the things have changed. Now we are not doing the traditional research which were doing in the older time. It is the era of artificial intelligence. It is the digital world. So those who are having good amount of, what is the fuel in the digital world? Data is the fuel in the digital world. So if you have more amount of data, you will become the superpower. So in this particular age, we have to focus on the research which can generate more and more data, which can be useful to trigger the economy of the country. Now, so this is what I wanted to say in the first part of my talk, that what the national education policy can say. Now, as we all know, I have came to know that the most of the participant, most of the my friends, teachers are coming from zoology, botany, and microbiology background. So that is why I have kept my talk on the taxonomical research. Right? We know that taxonomy is the mother of all the biological field. Without taxonomy, no science can be possible in the biological field, because before we start any kind of research, we have to use an what you call the organism. It may be animal, it may be plant, it may be microbes, and we have to identify the species correctly before we conduct any kind of experiment. Okay, and which is the science which is useful for the identification of the what you call the organism? It is the taxonomy. Okay, so without taxonomy, no science is possible. That is why, right, I am working in the field of the animal taxonomy, and that is why I have kept this topic to talk on the taxonomical research. Friends, how we can do the taxonomical research? There are certain things we can do in the taxonomical research, and we can come up with good amount of data which can be converted into good amount of publication. Okay, so before we start talking about the taxonomy, we have to see there are two words which are continuously being used in the biological sciences. The one is called as a taxonomy, and second one is called as a systematics. So there is a difference between these two words, because people usually mix these two words. So what is taxonomy? So taxonomy is involved in the classification and naming of the organism. Okay, that is all. Okay, we have to classify that in the large tree of the classification where your species belongs. What is the position of the species in the large flowchart of the classification, and then what are the identification character, and based on the identification character you can name the organism. That is what we do in taxonomy. On the other hand, in the systematics, we have to see what is the evolutionary relationship between the organism. So basically, systematics is a what you call a broad branch, and taxonomy is a sub branch of the systematics, right? And then both the taxonomy and systematics use morphological, behavioral, genetical, and other observations to study. Now, right, let me give you good reasons why you should be the taxonomy, why you should choose taxonomy as your research career. So there are several reasons which I have experienced, and according to my experience, according to my what you call journey, I have listed that this could be the reasons which can help you to become the taxonomist. Whether you become the animal taxonomist, you can become the plant taxonomist, or the microbial taxonomist. What is the first reason? Carrying the legacy of the Linnean taxonomy 1758. We all know that Linnaeus is considered as the father of the taxonomy. So he started, right, by giving the binomial nomenclature, and he started classifying organism, right? He has, identified several animal species and plant species, and then he wrote this legendary book Systema Naturae, which was the first official publication talking about the taxonomical identification, or the morphology, or based on the morphology, the old school taxonomy, which was done based on the external morphological appearance of animal, plants, or microbes. Okay, so this is the first publication coming from 1758. Okay, so if you become taxonomist, you can proudly say that yes, I am following the science which is more than 300-year old, and I am the, from the house of the Linnaeus. Now, feeling of working in the field of the basic science, we all know that taxonomy is the mother of all the sciences, and it is one of the oldest science. So, if you are working in this field, that you are following the legacy, and it will give you, because right now there are several, what you call applied branches of different biological sciences. But if you are working in the taxonomy, it will give you the good feeling that yes, I am stick to my subject. I am working in the basic science. So that feeling is great. So that is the second reason. What is the third reason? Every day is a new day. Now, this phrase I always tell to my student, why every day is a new day? Because in case of taxonomy, there are no fixed protocols, right? If you are working in the lab, or if you are working in the what you call the applied sciences, there are fixed protocol. For example, protein estimation. That there is a fixed protocol given by the laboratory. You just have to follow the steps, add the chemicals, and you will have what you call the results. But in case of taxonomy, there is no fixed protocol, right? Whenever you have the specimen of plant, microbes, or animal in the hand, you have to start with the beginning. Okay, so every day is a new day. Every day you have a new specimen, and you have to repeat all the things, and then every time it will not be easy, right? Some species are very easy to identify, but some species are very difficult. Sometimes it happens that species is very common, but you still can't identify. You are spending a lot of time. So the time period, the average time period of identification could be the few minutes, or it can take few months to identify even a single specimen. Okay, so every time there is a joy. Every day when you enter into the lab, the new specimen is waiting for you to lead you to the new journey. That is why I always say it is the every day is the new day in the field of taxonomy. Now, lifelong work and commitment. Okay, once you choose the organism, or once you choose your what you call the interest group, then taxonomy is a never ending work. Okay, every day is a new day. There are n number of what you call organisms living in the world. Whatever is their interest group, you can give lifelong work. We have several examples. For example, here is the scientist, right? His name is Terry. Okay, Terry recently passed away, but he spent his entire life working on the insects. Okay, we have second person from Salim Ali. Those who are from the zoology field, you can see that he is Dr. Salim Ali, and Dr. Salim Ali spent his entire life working on the birds. He has identified several species of bird from India. He wrote good amount of research or good amount of papers on the Indian birds. He has published a book on the Indian birds, which is now acting as a basic what you call book for those who are starting their career in the ornithology. Each and every college student of zoology will be knowing that he is the one. So you can see it is a lifelong commitment. He is in his entire life he used to watch birds and he used to publish paper. So basically it's a lifelong work and commitment. Now, what is glamour? Okay, there is a glamour in the taxonomy that whenever you describe a new species, over here you can see this is the small crab which we described from Gulf of Khambat. Okay, and then whenever you describe a new species, you can see over here Trivedi, Soni Trivedi, and Vachrajani 2050. Your name will be included in the world database. Okay, for example, this crab is a marine crab coming from the coastal areas of Gulf of Khambat, and there is a website which is called the World Register for Marine Species. So your name will be there throughout the what you call whatever time is coming. You will be dead, but your name will be there. Okay, so this will give you the what you call you will be it will provide you the amartha, that your name will be there throughout the right. People whenever they see this graph, they will remember your name. And then you can see there is a lot of coverage you will get in the news also. You will be everywhere, so that after discovery of the new species, for the next coming 1 week you will be star. You will be everywhere, on the radio, on the TV, on the social media, as well as in the newspaper. So this kind of glamour will be provided to you whenever you are working in the field of the taxonomy. Many publications and citation, right? Whenever you're working in the taxonomy, right, you have different amount, you have a good amount of collection, then you will get many publication, and then your papers will be cited by many people. Let me give you one more example. You can see this is This is Professor Peter Ng, who is the ex-director of the Lee Kuan Chian Naturalist Museum, Singapore, and he is the professor at National University of Singapore. Peter started working on the what you call the taxonomy of the crabs, the marine crab as well as the freshwater crab, and he has spent his entire life. Right now he is around 62. He is about to retire. Okay, but he has spent his entire life working on the what you call the taxonomy, only the taxonomy of the freshwater and the marine crustacean. And right now he has more than 800 publication in his name, published in various national and international journal. And you can see citation 27,800 citation. You can see, right, huge. This is the huge number, right? I have never seen any vertical scientist working in India that has this many of vertical citation, right? You can see the H index 62, I10 index 425. So working in the taxonomy can get you. And what is the average publication per year for Peter? Around 30 to 35 publication per year Peter is getting through his collaborators working throughout the world. So this is the beauty of the taxonomy, right? You can have n number of papers, right? Whenever you are working, more number of publications will be there, and that is exactly what we want. According to national education policy, we have to publish good amount of paper, a good research, a quality research, so that we can increase the number of publication per year as well as the citation. Because if your research is good, you can get good number of publication. Over here you can see his paper cryptic species as a window on diversity and conservation has been, he has published this paper in 2007. You can see the number of citation. One paper has been cited more than 3000 times. Okay, you can see the second paper, system of vacuum, cited more than 2000 times. Okay, so this is the beauty. Okay, one good publication can get you the what you call huge number of citation. So that is what we have to do. Okay, the last part, traveling is the part of the study, right? And that is the best part, right? Those people who are what you call working in the lab, okay, every day their same routine is there, right? Go home, have your dinner, sleep, next day morning go to the lab, right? Follow the protocols, and your day is over. But whenever you are working in the taxonomy, you have to go to the field. Okay, whenever you are, if you are an animal taxonomist, if you are a plant taxonomist, or a what you call the microbial taxonomist, you have to go to the field for the sample collection. And we all know that the taxonomists go to the beautiful places, right? They go deep into the forest where normally the civilians are not allowed. Okay, we can go to the different part of the ocean, the beautiful ocean will be there, and we are collecting the samples. Okay, so every time you are traveling, whenever somebody, many of my friends call me, where are you, I will be telling that okay, I am in Odisha, I am in Tamil Nadu, and there are several what you call the remote locations on the coastal area where I visit for the collection of the sample. So I am always traveling, and traveling will become part of your what you call profession and job. Normally what happens, the people who are working in the lab, they are visiting different places only during the break time. Okay, whenever they have the vacations. But for us, every day is a what you call the holiday. Whenever we are in the field, we are on duty, enjoying what you call different places and doing our work. So this is the beauty, right, of being a taxonomist. So these are the reasons which I have listed. Can think. So using this reason, you can think why you should become the taxonomist. Now, once you decide that okay, I want to be a taxonomist, I want to be animal, plant, or microbial taxonomy, what are the success mantras that how you should work in the taxonomy? So first, choose your group of interest. What does it mean? Okay, because there are several organisms living on this planet Earth, and then people say that we have only discovered 20% of the living organisms, all right, on this planet. There are 80% living organisms still out there waiting to be discovered. Okay, so you cannot be what you call the right jack of all the field. You have to be master of one field. Okay, so you have to choose a group, a very for example, for my research I have chosen the crabs, the marine crabs specifically, a very small group in the large diversity of the crustacean. And then on the marine, like Peter spent his entire life working on the marine crabs of the Southeast Asia. He has worked in the China, what you call Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. India is also a very big country, and we are living in Gujarat. The Gujarat has the longest coastline in the country. Okay, so I have chosen crabs, and for last 12 years I am doing research on the crab. Still there are so many species which needs to be discovered. Okay, so you have to choose a very narrow group in which you are interested. And how to choose this group? Okay, you have to read a literature. Okay, you have to go through books, you have to go to what you call research paper, and after reading a huge amount of research papers and books, you will come to know in which group you are interested. Okay, for example, in plants you can see there are different plant species, and there are different groups, and then whatever group you are interested, you have to choose a group. Once the group is chosen, then you can go ahead. What is the next requirement? Choose geographical area of the world. You can't work on the, for example, I can't work on the marine recurrent crabs of the world. Okay, that's a huge area. Even I cannot work on the marine recurrent crabs of India. Okay, I have to choose a very small geographical area to start my work. Once you start your work, that explore, for example, for my PhD, my study area was in Saurashtra coast. So I was exploring a very small area, and after finishing my PhD, I started exploring Gulf of Kutch and Gulf of Khambat, and then several places in India. So slowly you can increasing your geographical area of work, but initially you have to start with a very small area so that you can gain expertise. After publishing 10 or 15 papers, slowly you will get the expertise, and once you have the expertise, right, people will start collaborating with you who are living in India, or the experts who are coming from India. They will start collaborating with you, and then you can expand your work area. So that is the third success mantra, right? Learn basic methodology, right? As I said earlier, there are no fixed protocol in the taxonomy, but yeah, there are several basic steps which you have to learn. What are the basics then? Specimen collection, right? For each and every taxonomical study, the collection of the specimen is very important. Okay, because you have to, once you have the collection in the hand, the rest of the part of the study will be started. Without specimen, no taxonomists in the world can work. Okay, so you have to learn the specific collection methods. That you have to be a very good photographer, because we have to click photos of the specimen, specifically in case of botany and zoology, right? The photograph of the specimen is very important. So you have to learn the photography, not the artistic photography, but for the specimen collection, or the specimen photograph, whatever things are required, you have to learn. For example, this is the photograph which is very important, that this is a new species which we recently described. This is Tritodynamia bengalensis. Okay, so this is the new species. You can see the level of photography, whatever that good, whatever the morphological characters which are important for the identification should be seen in the photograph. Then you need one important instrument, very simple, very cheap instrument, very simple instrument, and you will see this instrument in each and every lab where the taxonomists are working. This is called as a stereo microscope. That you have to have a stereo microscope to see the minute, right, morphological parts of your specimen, and the dissections and drawing of the morphological part, right? Because for the morphological description, you have to draw the what you call the morphological parts, and the detailing of the morphological part you have to do through drawing, and you have to learn the dissection. For example, in case of animal, we have to dissect the what you call the specimen to find out different morphological parts which are important for the identification. In case of plants, you all know that the tissue samples will be, you have to take the sections of the tissues. Okay, so for that you have to learn the dissection and the drawing. Over here you can see these are some old papers, right, coming from India, written by Alfred Alcock. Now you can see he was a very good taxonomist, as well as he was a great artist. You can see these all are the hand drawings which he has made while describing different species. So he was a great artist, and that is why this art helped him to become a very good taxonomist. Okay, but now we have the modern techniques. We have the Photoshop which can help us to draw the things. So you can see this is the photograph which we have taken using the microscope, and this is the drawing. and you can trace the photograph and do the detailing. Same way here you can see this is the carapace and this is the drawing. So by what you call the tracing the entire carapace, and then you can do the detailing, right? This is not a great drawing, but this is useful, and this will serve the purpose for the description of the organism. Okay, and make the inventory of expert and collaborate, right? Because without teamwork, without taking guidance from the expert, the taxonomical work will not be possible. Okay, so you have to make an inventory that whatever group which is of your interest, who are the people who are working in this particular group. Okay, so make a list of the people who are working in your interest group in India as well as in export sorry the abroad, and start contacting them, start asking question about your group, and then collaborate and publish a good amount of papers. So these are the success mantras which I want to share if you become taxonomist. Now, what kind of studies we can do, right, in taxonomy, where we can publish a paper, or what kind of papers we can publish by working in the taxonomy? The first one is the species checklist. Now, why species checklist? Because this will serve as a basic, what you call the baseline data for your research. For example, right, here you can see annotated checklist of marine decapods of Gujarat state. Okay, so I am working on the decapod crustaceans of Gujarat. Or so, okay, so before you start your work, you should know what is already published or what is available. For example, somebody started working on the orchids of Gujarat. Okay, so before you start, that what kind of orchid species are already reported from Gujarat, you have to make a list, because that will serve as a baseline data for your studies. So for example, somebody is working on the microbes, specific group of microbes, so whether any species of microbe from that group is already reported from Gujarat or not, if you can prepare that baseline data, then this review of literature can serve as a best paper. So we have published several papers like this. For example, this paper is published in the Frontiers of Marine Sciences. It's a 5 impact factor journal. What we did, we just listed out that how many barnacles are recorded from India. Barnacles are very small sessile crustaceans. So when my students were working on the barnacle diversity of Gujarat, we thought that let's make a list for India, that how many barnacle species are recorded from Gujarat, sorry, from India. And you can see we have Benny KK Chan, who is the barnacle expert of the world. Okay, so we collaborated with him, and together we got a very good publication in Frontiers in Marine Sciences. So yes, taxonomies can also publish in the high impact factor journals. Okay, similarly you can see we have made a list of the mantis shrimps of India. We have also I have so we have also published a monograph on the marine brachyuron crabs of India. As you all know that I am working in the marine brachyuron crab. So before I started my work, right, I started gathering information about the how many species of marine crabs are reported from India. And when I made this database, is the database served as a very good publication, and I got maximum citation from this vertical paper. Then now whoever is working on the marine brachyuron crabs of India has to cite my paper. Okay, so by publishing this kind of checklist, they can give you great good amount of citations. You can see this is the format of the checklist which we have published, right? Now for example, if you want to know about this particular species Athras cruposa, then this paper will provide there how many people have recorded this species from India and from where. For example, from Tamil Nadu, this many people have recorded this species, right? From Andaman and Nicobar, 2 references have recorded species. So you can have the location wise data as well as all the references who have mentioned this particular species. So this will give you the wholesome information, and your paper will be very good for the students or for the researchers who are beginning, okay, in this particular field. So for the beginners, this will serve as the best papers, right, which will boost their confidence to work in this particular field. Okay, you can see this paper. I published this paper in 2018, and you can see in last 3-4 years this paper has been cited 61 times. So this kind of checklist paper can get you maximum amount of citation. You can see in 4 years 61, what you call the citations are great. For example, my first paper was published in 2012, and in 10 years it has got only 62 publication, well this publication in 4 years got 61 publication. So that is the beauty of the checklist. Now, okay. Again, new distributional record. Now, for example, once the basic checklist is published, and then you can compare. For example, according to my checklist, this particular species was not reported from Gujarat. Okay, so it is a new record to Gujarat. So you can get distributional record paper. You can publish a paper that this species is first time reported from Gujarat state. Similarly, if you have plant list of the Gujarat or plant list of the vertical India or microbes list of the India, and if this particular microbe or plant is first time reported from Gujarat, you can get a publication. You can publish a short note. Okay, and you can have good amount of publication. For example, this crab was first time reported from west coast of India. It was in India. This species was reported from Tamil Nadu, which is located on the east coast of India, and I recorded this species from the west coast of in Gujarat, which is located on the west coast of India. So this is called as the what you call the range extension. Okay, and you can have paper about the distribution range extension of the species. Okay, these are a few examples. First record from India, because this species was not listed in my list. Okay, I have gone through each and every reference published on the crab, and according to my list, right, this is the species which is first time reported from India. So similarly, you can also publish a paper on your interest group. Few examples. Now, once you are familiar with the checklist, once you have published a few papers about the what you call the distribution range extension, then comes the third part and the best part, description of the new species. Right, you will surely come across several specimens which are not matching anywhere. Okay, there are some close species, but they are not showing 100% similarity. And once you don't have the 100% similarity, it means you have something in your hand which is not described so far. It could be a new species. Okay, so once you become familiar with your group, you can start describing the new species and you can publish a paper. For example, similarly, we have done. These are the new species. You can see a beautiful photography is there, beautiful drawings are there, and the comparison is there. For example, this is the described species and this is the new species. You can see this is the tailson, or sorry, the abdomen, and you can see the shape of the abdomen is different. You can see the shape of the reproductive parts are different, and that is how I come to know that this is a species which is not described and got a paper about the new species. Okay, in 2015, we describe a new species and we named after Sayajirao Gaikwad, the Maharaja Sayajirao Gaikwad of Baroda, for its greatest contribution in the field of education. Okay, so once you have the new species, you can name the species after anybody who has a significant contribution in different fields. So these are the new species which I have described so far with my colleagues. Okay, so once you become experienced taxonomist, you can have the new species, you can describe a new species and get good amount of publication or valuable publication. Okay, now right, how to, right, this is interesting, how to give the scientific name. For example, I have named this species after Sayajirao Gaikwad, Maharaja Sayajirao Gaikwad. This species is named after JC Jose, who was the founder head of the department. This species Chhapgar is named after Dr. BF Chhapgar for his greatest contribution in the Indian studies, the studies of the Indian crustaceans. This is named after Professor Bonnie Pilo, who was the former head of the zoology department. So similarly, I have named the species after several scientists and academicians. This species is named after this type locality Lakshadweep Island, Lakshadweepensis. So how to form the scientific name? What are the rules and regulations? We can see, right. So after the feature or habit, right, you can see according to his feeding habit, according to his body size, you can give the name. For example, this is the Philippine eagle, right? The name is Pithecofaga jeffrey. So Jeffrey is the scientist, so the species is named in honor of this scientist called Jeffrey. But what is the meaning of Pithecofaga? Pitheco means monkey and faga means eating. It means monkey khane wala animal. Okay, so looking to his feeding habit, this Philippine eagle is named. Okay, this small crab is named as Minutus, looking to its smaller size. Okay, what are the other rules? You can see we have the blue whale, the largest mammal in the world. It is named as Musculus because of its muscular body. Okay, You can see body feature. This is a very very common frog. You can, right now the monsoons are going on, you can see this frog. Why it is called as a tigrinus? Because it is having bands on the body, specifically on the legs, which are showing similarity with the tiger. So we can name the species after any, what you call, the feature, right? There is a very small frog coming from India whose name is chiravasi. Now chiravasi is a Sanskrit name. What is the meaning of chira? Chira means rock crevices. Okay, so this frog is living in the rock crevices. That is why it is called as a chiravasi. There is a small crab, described from Indian Ocean. The Sanskrit name of Indian Ocean is Ratnakar. That is why it is described from the Indian Ocean, and it is named as the Ratnakara. Okay, so looking to his feature, you can name the species. Looking to his living habit, feeding habit, you can name the species. But that is not necessary. If you are a film person, if you like some film personalities, if you like some people from the history, history, you can also dedicate. For example, this is a small fly named after Shakira. Okay, so the scientists who describe this species must be the fan of Shakira, and they have dedicated this beautiful fly after Shakira. Okay, some people, some scientists, they like the world history, that this guy has, dedicated this small bug after Adolf Hitler. Right. Similarly, the rock star Johnny Cash, a beautiful spider is named after Johnny Cash. Again, a beautiful spider species named after Angelina Jolie. Okay, so you can satisfy your interest. If you are interested in film, you can show your love toward the film star by naming a new species in his or her honor. You can see there is a spider species named after Barack Obama. There is a small fly species named after Bill Gates. Okay, several example. Prince of Wales. There is a frog species, Prince Charlesy, Bob Marley. There is small acare, small mite species named after Jennifer Lopez. Entire genus of a sea slug is named after Nelson Mandela. You can see Mandelia, right? Debbie Netterbug, Donald Trump also. Okay, now there is a story in this particular moth, right? It is not named after Donald Trump, but you can see a golden patch on the head region of this moth, which is showing similarity with the hairstyle of the Donald Trump. So looking to this similarity, it has been, what you call, the named after Donald Trump. So you can have fun while describing new species. Okay, not only film star, you can also go behind your superstar, the, what you call, the superstars, or the, what you call, superheroes. This fish species is named after Batman because it is having symbol of Batman and its tail region. This crab is named after the Harry Potter series. Okay, again few, the this spider, this is again the named after the spider Aragog, which was there in the Harry Potter movies. This shrimp species, beautiful shrimp species, is named after the band called Pink Floyd because it is having a pink color claw. Okay, that is all about the naming the species after the, what you call, the people, living or dead people. But you can also name the species after the type, locality, the place where the species was found. For example, this is a small gecko species coming from Kutch district of Gujarat, so it is called as a Kutchensis. Okay, this is the largest lizard in the world, coming from, this is called as a Komodo dragon, coming from Komodo island of Indonesia. It is named after the locality Komodoensis. Okay, this beautiful river dolphin coming from river Ganga, so named after river Ganga, Gangetica gangetica. Okay, this crab is described from Iran, named as Iranica. This crab is described from Persian Gulf, named as Persicum. And this is a small gecko coming from Porbandar district, okay, or Porbandar city, I guess. Okay, that is why it is named as a Porbandarensis. So not only people, you can also name the species after the type. Like, so it all depends on you. Once you have the name new species in your hand, you can play with it. You can, satisfy your film interest. You can also show your love toward the locality. Again, once you are done with the new species, this is the next part is very very difficult, and the best part in the taxonomy, which is called the redescription and revision of taxonomy of old species. Okay, so let me give you one beautiful example why redescription and revisions are very very difficult. So this is the oldest document. The Maharaja Sayajirao Gaikwad of Baroda, he was very much interested in the education, and he hired one what you call the marine biologist from England, whose name was James Hornell, and he invited him to work on the marine zoology of Okha Mandal, because we all know that Okha and Bet Dwarka, they are very very rich in the marine fauna as well as in fauna, or sorry, marine fauna and flora. So he asked Mr. Hornell to come over here and study what are the marine organisms found in Okha and the Bet Dwarka area. So Hornell came to India. He worked there for several years, and then he submitted this report in 1909 to the government of Baroda, and the name of this, or the title of this study, was Marine Zoology of Okha Mandal in Kathiawar. Okay, now at that time, that Hornell described this particular species, a very very small parasitic crab which is found in the bivalve. So we all know that whenever we go to Okha or Bedwarka, we come across one beautiful oyster species which is also called as a window pane oyster. Okay, so this crab live inside the window pane oyster as a parasitic species. So this was described from Okha. Now the original figures are done by the original figures are there in the paper, but this figure was done by the artist, not by Hornell himself. Hornell only wrote the description, so there was a problem between the figure and the description. Over here you can see this is the typical zoology, but I guess everybody will understand what is the written. The dactyly of third and fourth pair 1.5 time as long as those of the first and second. So friends, over here you can see I am pointing out the part which is called as a dactylus, which is the last part of the leg. So what it is written, this the third and fourth pair. So these are the pair. This is the fourth pair and this is the third pair. So the dactyly of third and fourth pair is longer, 1.5 time longer than dactyly of first and second leg. But if you see the drawing, all the dactylies are same. So this was a huge problem because the description is not matching with the drawing, and if something is there, then this is not good. It will have impacts. Okay, so this species was a problematic species for several years because it was described in 1909 and people were confused whether it is a correct species or not because the description is not matching with the drawing. Okay, so what happened in 2017, that by suggestion given by Peter and that this species is coming from Gujarat, why don't you go and find out? Okay, because the specimens which were collected by Hornell and Southwell are not existing now. Where are they? We were not knowing. So we went to Okha, right? We collected this specimen, and then we have found out that whatever Hornell has written was correct, but there was a mistake in the drawing because in this live specimen you can see the dactyly of first and second leg is actually smaller than the third and the fourth leg. So whatever Hornell was written was correct, but there was a mistake in the drawing. So we corrected this mistake and published this beautiful paper. So you can also solve similar kind of curious cases. There are several mistakes in the past research. You can correct the mistake and you can give the good taxonomy to the people who are working in the world. So now this is a valid species and people can use my reference whenever they are working on the P graphs. Okay, so this is the one more type of study, redescription of whatever species which were described previously. You can correct if there are some mistakes. Okay, similar cases with this particular crab also, but we have less time, so I am skipping it. Fine. Now, once you describe a new species, the next part is coming on the ecological study. But as we are taxonomists, we are not much interested in the what you call the ecological study. But this part can be given to the master students. Okay, because we all know that according to our new curriculum, the master students will have dissertation work. Right now, those who are studying according to the old system, we have a dissertation or a project work in the last semester of the master's program, whether it is zoology, botany, or microbiology. But in case of the new education policy, okay, whenever there is a four-year bachelor's, if the student wants to do the masters, right, by research he or she can do, and for that they have to take 1 year research program. Okay, so whatever species we have described so far, a new species, I am sure that that ecology is not known. Okay, so you can give small topics in the ecology to the master student. They can explore it and they have find out the ecological aspect of the what you call that particular species, and you can have papers out of it. Okay, for example, Right. Recently, we recorded Clibanere sensani, a very small hermit crab species, first time from India. And when we were going through the literature, we came to know that there is no information about the ecology available throughout the world. Okay, nobody has studied the ecology of this so far. So I gave this work to my dissertation student. Okay, and then she worked on the shell utilization pattern, a very small ecological aspect of this species, and you can see we got a beautiful paper in the proceeding of one particular conference. Okay, so this kind of small studies you can see. Now what are the future scope? As I am from the zoology field and specifically from the invertebrate side, I can show some scopes which are available for the future studies for the future zoologists. Similarly, somebody is coming from plant side or somebody is coming from microbial side, they can come up with good ideas that what are the future scope. I can show you something over here. You can see the diversity of marine flora and fauna of India. Okay, this is about the marine species. These are the plants and these are the animalia and protista, right? Some microbiologists can work on it, or specifically they can also go for the marine microbes, because there is a huge field available in the marine microbe. Very less amount of studies have been done about the marine microbes. Over here you can see specifically those who are coming from plant can have more interest. For example, there is a group called Xanthophyta. Only three species are recorded. That this is according to Venkatraman and Waffer, published in 2005. You can see throughout India only three species are published. India has 8,000 kilometer long coastline and only three species is very less. So one can explore this particular group, the Xanthophyta, and start working on it. And I am damn sure that he can get many species of this particular group and have many papers. Okay, dinoflagellate only 90 species, algae only 844 species, very less. Okay, so for plant biologists, this is a great part. Okay, whatever group, right, these are the broader group. There are some minor groups also available. So for example, Xanthophyta may have different families, may have different order. So you have to choose a very small group and you can start working on it. Right, protozoa again very less studies. In case of animalia, I can show you some group. For example, the cubozoa. Only five species are recorded throughout the India. Right, there are several species described under cubozoa, but nobody is working on the cubozoans of India. So one zoologist can take up this group and start working on it. Okay, for example, Ctenophora. Right, only 12 species are reported, very less. One can start working. Like tardigrada, very interesting group, only 10 species. Recently there was a tardigrade species described from Kerala. Okay, so this is again good group. Okay, for example, in case of crustacea, which is the one of the largest group in the arthropoda, you can see over here brachyura only 5 species are reported. Right, Tenidacia only one species reported. Right, there is a huge opportunity for this particular group. Okay, so you can see over here, I'm just talking about the marine group, right? In case of terrestrial fauna, mountain fauna, India is the country where almost all type of habitats are available. Okay, we have the snow areas, right? If you go to Himalayas, we have the snow areas where the diversity is different. We have the mountain habitat, we have different type of forests. You have seen the Chapman's classification, that different type of forests are available in India, starting from the dry deciduous to the rainforest. Huge amount of habitat diversity, many species in terms of microbes, plants and animals. Right, great opportunities there. If you see the marine sector, 8,000 kilometer long coastline, right, which is very rich in the biodiversity. We have coral reefs to explore, we have deserts to explore, we have estuaries to explore, we have mighty rivers in the world which are available in India. So huge amount of habitats are there which are still waiting. Okay, there are several animals and plants and microbes are found in this area waiting for the taxonomies to be disclosed, what you call the explore them and discover a good amount of species. Okay, so that is what we have to do. Now let's talk about Gujarat. Okay, over here you can see this is the story of Gujarat. Several group. For example, right, in case of Ctenophora, not even a single species is reported from Gujarat. 10 species from India, 0 species from Gujarat. You can see waiting for you. Okay, Porifera, sponges, 519 species are reported from India, only 69 are reported from Gujarat. Okay, a great group to study. Several dashes you can see, Ctenophora not even a single species, Nematoda not even a single species, right? This is very very old data, 1996. After that many species may have been found out, but I don't know. Okay, over here you can see this Entoprocta, not even a single species. Brachiopoda, only one species. Echinodermata, only 15 species. This is about the zoological side, right? You can similarly you can explore for the plant side and the microbe side. This is the report of Pilo et al, the biological diversity of Gujarat, published in 1996. And these guys have pointed out that there are several groups in terms of plants and microbes and animals are never been touched or never been explored for the diversity in the Gujarat. So friends, these are the group where we can show our expertise. We can work in the basic field. We can generate, or we can take the student. We can generate interest in the student to take taxonomy as their career, because it will give you the lifelong commitment and you will enjoy your studies, right, for rest of your life. Okay, that is why you have to select it. Okay, so thank you very much. I guess I am right in the time. Okay, in finishing my talk. Okay, now as we are actually meeting through the virtual mode of presentation, we are not face to face, so it is possible that you have several queries regarding this particular talk. It is possible that I have made mistake, or there are some what you call the incorrectness in the data. So if something is there, if you have any question, if you need any help in designing the study in case of taxonomy, you can contact me, right? I will be very happy if you can send me your question through the mail. My email id is there on the first slide. Whenever you are seeing this video, you can note down my email id. I am again repeating, my email id is jntrivedi@ngu.ac.in. You can contact me through the mail. You can send me your queries, and I would be very very happy to solve it. Okay, so last but not the least, as we all know that NEP has been implemented, and the goals of the NEPs are very very high, and it will become our responsibility, because directly we are dealing with the higher education. So it is our responsibility, right, to achieve the goal. So I hope everybody will start working hard and start producing good amount of research, so that our country can develop. Thank you so much for having giving me your time and listening me with the patience. Thank you so much.